Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep on classroom interaction. Specifically, we'll be looking at a study from the Routledge Handbook of Language Teacher Action Research, where one teacher used data to make some really interesting changes in her classroom.
Yeah, it's a great example of what we call collaborative action research.
Zauer.
Yeah, CR. Basically, teachers and researchers team up to look at and try to improve teaching practices.
Got it. So it's not researchers telling teachers what to do, but teachers being empowered to do their own research and make changes based on what they discover.
Exactly. And this teacher wanted to better understand interaction in her English as a second language classroom.
Makes sense. Classroom interaction is so important for language learning.
Absolutely. So they use this really cool digital tool called VEO. It's kind of like a high-tech highlighter, but for videos. The teacher was able to tag and analyze certain moments of interaction.
So was she able to break down different types of questions or the feedback she was giving?
Yeah, stuff like that. And even things like how much time was being spent on different communication modes. So like, was it mostly the teacher talking or were students getting a chance to interact with each other? Things like that.
I bet that data was really revealing. What did she find?
Well, one of the biggest things was how much she was actually dominating the conversation.
Really? So she thought she was giving students more space to talk than she actually was.
Yeah, it really shows how our perceptions can be so different from reality when we're teaching.
So what did she do with this new awareness?
Well, that's where the action part of action research comes in. She made deliberate changes based on the data.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. She started including more whole class interaction time to make space for student voices. She also started to rethink her strict English-only policy.
Oh, wow. So she was more flexible about students using their native language.
Right. She realized that allowing students to use their first language sometimes could actually help them learn and be more involved.
That's interesting. Was there like a specific example of that in the classroom?
Yeah. There's this moment in the study where she asks a question and it's just silent. Nobody's answering. And instead of, demanding English, she's like, it's okay, you can answer in Swedish if you want to. And then the students finally answered.
That's so cool. It
Yeah.
shows how a small change can make such a difference.
For sure. And the teacher herself said that this whole process was super valuable. Like it helped her learn new skills, become more student-centered, and understand her students' needs better.
That's awesome. She really embraced the whole reflective practitioner thing.
Yeah, she did. And the researcher also thought the collaboration was great. He said that working with such an experienced teacher gave him a whole new perspective on how, seasoned professionals reflect and make changes.
So win-win for everyone.
Definitely. And the authors of this study think this collaborative action research could really change the way we approach teacher education and professional development.
Okay, so how could SABAR change things?
Well, imagine teachers working together using tools like VEO to look at each other's lessons and reflect together on their practices.
That's a great idea. It would really help close the gap between research and what's actually happening in classrooms.
Exactly. And it could empower teachers to become more like researchers themselves, always trying to understand and improve what they do.
But realistically, that kind of change takes time and resources and a supportive system. Did the study address any of the challenges?
It did. They recognize that time is a major hurdle for teachers who want to do action research, and they argue that school systems need to create the space for this type of collaborative, data-driven reflection.
It makes sense. If we want real lasting change in education, we need to invest in teachers and give them the support to grow.
Absolutely, and that ultimately benefits everyone, students especially.
It's something to think about for sure. Like, think about how important interaction is in classrooms and workplaces and even just our personal relationships. Could this approach help us be more mindful and intentional about how we communicate?
Definitely. The study makes it clear that data-driven reflection isn't just for teachers. It's a valuable tool for anyone who wants to understand and improve how they, interact with others.
So it's not just changing what we do, but changing how we think about interacting.
That's it. It's about having a more critical and reflective mindset. And when you look at interaction in that way, it opens up possibilities for growth and change.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into collaborative action research. We saw how it can empower teachers, bridge that gap between research and practice, and ultimately create more engaging and effective learning environments.
And it all comes down to being curious, asking questions, and being open to challenging our own ideas about how we interact.
So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. What's one aspect of interaction in your own life that you might want to analyze and maybe change? It doesn't have to be a big thing. But taking that first step towards more mindful interaction can make a real difference. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.